this is going to be the most scuffed intro, and I am already recording, but this is the first episode of Cussing Convos. I very nearly blanked on the name.
Good branding. Just to get the name off the rip.
So, I mean, for those listening that don't have a clue what this is, which is probably most people, this is our nerd podcast, which is basically just going to be an excuse for me and Connor to talk about.
Yeah, waffle about the stuff we've been waffling about for years, but just, let other people listen in on the waffle.
Pretty much just our private conversations and our public conversations.
Yes, exactly. Now, I mean, we've been discussing starting this since summer last year?
Yeah, I feel like it was when the Disney Plus shows kind of started.
Yeah, started hitting.
All watching them. Like our friends group were watching them and we started talking about them. Then the idea kind of cropped up.
And then Spiderman No Way Home night, we've both gone to see it. You finished your show and a couple of hours after me. The first message I see from you is, we need to start this podcast ASAP.
100%. It was like I came out of that film and I think you lot had all gone, because I was a really late night showing, so I think everyone had gone to bed.
I think I saw that message the next morning.
And I was just like, freaking out the whole drive home, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, also, let's put a spoiler warning here in the first episode.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Every single episode will contain spoilers for the most recent thing released.
Yes. Even the most recent show episode.
Yeah, we are going to be on top. There's a reason these are being recorded on Thursdays. It's so when Disney Plus releases a new show, we can watch it on the Wednesday and have a day to compose our thoughts before discussing it. So before you watch any episode, make sure you're up to date on the Marvel world and the DC world, because if not, you will get something spoiled for you.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll make that disclaimer every episode. But yeah, you have essentially this is recorded on a Thursday, and then we'll be going out on a Friday.
Yeah. So if you're not up to date, pause it right now. Come back once you're up to date.
But yeah, going back, I think I got home and finally kind of processed things. I was like, I need more. I need to talk about this. So we need to start this podcast.
I don't think I fully processed Spider-Man until after the second showing. I felt like I was in this fever dream where I was like, I feel like I'm going to wake up at any moment the morning of, because there's no way I've just witnessed a film so beautifully put together. I was a bit of a pessimist with this film. I thought there's so much hype around it, and there is so much expectation from the fan base that they cannot deliver, and therefore I'm going to leave disappointed. And somehow I left the complete opposite. I've never been so enthralled in my entire life.
Yeah, I mean, I went into this film. There was obviously a lot of hype around it. I kind of was, and there was all the rumors.
Yeah, so many.
Andrew Garfield on multiple occasions, because he had his what was the film that's just come out of his?
Tick Tick Boom on Netflix.
Yeah. So he was doing the press room, wasn't he, for that? And it's everyone was asking him.
Well, for a long time, I didn't realise that was what he was working on. I just kept on seeing him do interviews, and I'm like, so you mean to tell me he's actually doing all these interviews and getting asked about Spider-Man, and the entire time he's doing these interviews, he's got nothing going on? It was only a week before Spider-Man released, I realised he was actually supposed to be doing press for this other film at the same time. I was like, wow, these interviews have really just been taken over by Spider-Man.
Oh, 100%. Part of him must have been super frustrated by it, honestly. But then he must have, obviously now we know that he was in the film, he was mentally prepared that he had to keep this a secret.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I even even mid-film, before the moment of them appearing, I was kind of still very skeptical. The rumors were there, and there's things that have been, and people this is impossible to fake. Can't be a deep fake. But then you've got Andrew Garfield very convincingly stating that, like, on many interviews that he is not a part of anything.
Did you?
He's an actor.
So, obviously, there's lots of memes about it. So you've got Tom Holland, who's notorious for not being able to hold on to a secret. You've got Andrew Garfield, who's doing press going, no, there's nothing. And then everyone's just like, the Chad Tobey Maguire. Someone asks him in a park, he just nods his head and winks and then walks off. And it's like, what the actual fuck is going on? Because, like, Tobey Maguire at times...
Oh, yeah. Can we just say that Tom Holland did a great job this time of actually keeping a secret?
Do you know what's been really funny? Since it's come out, people have gone back to different interviews and stuff and gone, yes, he was good, but he was like, in hindsight, he wasn't that good. It's just we didn't know what to look out for. Like when the three of them were watching the trailer, when Tom Holland lands on top of that, he goes, where's... And then Zendaya grabs his leg. And everyone's like, oh my God, he was about to say, where's the other two?
So have you seen his, like, since the film's been out, someone asked him about that. And it turns out, so Tom's brother is on the production. He was production team.
Yeah, he was
his brother's idea for them to react to the trailer.
Oh, really?
But they hadn't seen the trailer. Like, it was his idea. I was like, oh, you guys should watch the trailer and react to it for the first time.
Okay.
Obviously, no one briefed them on the fact that...
The trailer.
Things had been removed from the trailer. And
that's
almost as terrible. But yeah, like, looking back, you can see there's things that he didn't hide very well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, I mean, at the end of the day, in hindsight, if you can go back and look at interviews and go, oh, what a cool little tease there that we didn't notice, if anything, that kind of adds to the whole experience, doesn't it? You're like, they were teasing us all along and we just never even realised.
Yeah, people just didn't catch on.
Yeah,
it's
because...
Like, one of the first leaks that came out of the film was those pictures of him... we now know is that final scene when he goes to a coffee shop when they don't know him.
Yeah, that was one of the first things. And they're like, oh, he's going to ask MJ out on their first official date. Yeah. And now you look back at them set pictures and you just try not to cry.
Honestly, like, stuff like that as well. Like, we saw leaks, but we just had no idea what we were
we knew it was hype and it had every right to be hype, but Jesus Christ. Like, it's done numbers similar to that of Infinity War and Endgame during a pandemic.
Yeah, that's the crazy
That is
thing.
Absurd. It shouldn't even be possible.
I wonder,
I don't know.
Part of me wonders, like, if it hadn't been still in a pandemic, that would have probably blown.
It would have been something like something we'd never seen before. And now we're on to the Batman hype train as well, which I'm so excited for.
Yeah, this has been slowly building.
Yeah.
Because everyone at first was like, new Batman actor again.
Batman's getting to a point where it's getting a bit played out. And at first, when I heard they were doing... Yeah. And they said they're doing another one. They're doing it with Robert Pattinson. My gut reaction was, oh no. But then as more started came about what they were doing, and they said Riddler's the bad guy, and there's going to be a detective noir story with like a year one Batman, I'm hearing this. And I'm going, year one Batman makes RPAT okay for me. Detective noir story with Riddler as the villain. When I heard Riddler as the villain along with Detective Noir, I'm like, okay, they both lend themselves to each other. So I trust that they are going to try and stick to this. That on top of how successful Joaquin Phoenix's Joker was in being a standalone film that they just tried to tell a story with. Yeah. I've just slowly got more and more excited. And then we had the Bat and the Cat trailer, 2 weeks ago now? A week ago? I'm so excited, and I genuinely think our Pats could be about to put in a performance better than anything we've seen. I know that's a big take with how brilliant Christian Bale was, but I genuinely think there's a real chance he changes Batman forever in a better way.
I forget if it was someone, I can't remember where this came from, but I remember reading something where someone was like, everyone doubted... why is his name why is Joker's name slipping?
Joaquin Phoenix.
No.
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger. Everyone, when Heath Ledger got announced as the Joker, people were like, oh, it's going to be terrible. Like, it was doubted, and then it turned to be like one of the best performances of Joker ever.
Yeah.
And it's like someone said this is probably going to be the same for this Batman. It's going to turn out to be one of the best Batman performances ever.
And you know what the crazy thing is? It's a brilliant cast, like top to bottom. Let's just be clear. But one name that is slipping through that people are noticing is Andy Serkin as Alfred. The man doesn't do bad script.
True.
Andy Serkin has not been in a film with a bad script. He reads the script. He's brilliant. He's obviously the director of the Venom films. He knows what he's talking about. So if he's read this script and agreed to be such an iconic character, that is a big green flag, if you like, of this film could be special. And I hope it's super successful as well as being good, so that Warner Brothers are willing to do more detective Batman stories, because that's when Batman's at his best.
I really hope it is successful so that like we get a chance.
And I do not want to see an old Batman again unless he has the Bat family around him. The only time Batman should be on his own is if it's a year one story. After that, you've got to have the Bat fam around him, because they're such a big part of his character and the interactions.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was one thing like we did miss out on with Christian Bale Batman.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like it almost gave it us. They almost gave it to
with what was it? Joseph Gordon-Levitt was brilliant. But even then, they didn't want to do it right because they just made him a police officer who goes by the name Robin. It's like.
Yeah, I get. I mean, it was one of those.
I've said it to you before, and I'll say it a million times. DC needs to find their Kevin, because right now they're a mess over there. Warner Bros. I should not be trusted with. The DC characters. Of the Flash resetting the DCEU. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, as long as
they keep Superman.
No, they can recast. I don't mind that. I'm okay with it as long as it's because they actually have a plan, and not just these films were bad, so let's wipe them off the board.
Yeah.
Like,
if they turn around, if they do like it is true and it does like reset stuff, and then they announce like a phase one. Like
exactly.
Marvel did, and they're like, "Look, these are the films that we have lined up, and it's all going to be in one world." Like they have that plan. Then okay, I have somewhat of a hope.
So, like,
I would be sad though to see Henry Cavill not.
Yeah, Henry Cavill was one of the few good things about the DCEU. But here's the thing, like, I mean, those of you who are listening who might have been watching our YouTube stuff before this and the TikToks and stuff, I said the original Justice League that was taken over by Joss Whedon is my least favourite DC film. I don't normally get angry at something because, let's be honest, trivial as films. I left that cinema so angry at how poorly everything had been done. And then I see the Snyder Cut and I'm like, wow, that's what we were supposed to get. And we got given this pile of crap by Joss Whedon. And it's like, don't get me wrong, Zack Snyder had to leave production for very sad reasons, and I get that. But why the fuck was Joss Whedon allowed to butcher the image of that film so much? Ezra Miller, I thought was a brilliant casting for Barry Allen. I hated him in the original cut. And then the Snyder Cut comes out and it builds the character in a much more likeable way. Same goes for Cyborg. And the film aggravated me.
I'm going to have to admit something here.
Go on.
I haven't seen Justice League. Because...
Either cut or...
Either cut. And only... So, my reasoning is, I never saw the original release because, like, I didn't go when it came out, and then it got such bad... press, and like everyone
exactly.
Pure hated it. I was just like, well, there's just no point watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously and now it's just I haven't just got around to going to watch.
That makes sense.
The Snyder Cut, but it was like I kind of feel blessed that I never saw that original version, because now when I do come to watch it, I'm only gonna know the Zack Snyder Cut.
Yeah, exactly. The Snyder Cut is brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. I still, overall, there's things about the DCEU that make me unhappy, just like the way that their formula is set up. But the Schneider cut is infinitely better than the theatrical release. Cyborg and Flash become the main characters that they were always supposed to be. And here's the thing, when you're watching the theatrical cut, you could see they were supposed to be main characters, but it literally feels like scenes have just been taken out.
Right.
And that was part of the reason. It's not so much that it's just a bad film, it genuinely felt like you were blacking out and missing bits at times. Which, I mean, if it's a bad film, it's a bad film, but to make it feel so two-toned, you could tell there had been one director with an image, and then another director would come in with another image, and just, it was a mess.
Rearranged everything and stuff.
Yeah.
See, so something I still to this day will stand by is the fact that I remember watching the DC TV shows, so Arrow, Flash.
Mm-hmm.
I wish, and I said it back then to my mates and stuff when I was like, when they first announced that they were like going to be doing.
Oh yeah, they should have just carried on.
They should have used those actors.
Yeah, I
because it would have been so good. And I think they really did drop the bag there. And it's like, I wonder if they'd had the right director who'd like seen that and gone, okay, and made that happen, whether they probably would have been in a much better position, especially in the whole Marvel versus DC thing.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, them shows had their dips and stuff. Apparently this season of The Flash is good. I stopped watching The Flash a while ago now, so I'm not up to date on it. I'm not going to pretend I am. Apparently this season's much better though, which I'm glad to hear. Grant Gustin introduced me to the character of the Flash. Before that, I'd only really watched MCU. If not for them shows, I probably wouldn't have started reading comics. And sorry to keep plugging the TikTok at you guys. As I said on that, Wally West's Flash is my favourite comic book character of all time. I think the DC has a richer variety of great characters. I don't think anything DC has, and this is purely my opinion, I don't think anything DC has rivals Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man is the best character owned, but my favourite character is Wally West's Flash. But I mean, once you get down into like the lower tiers of characters, I think DC beats Marvel in that respect. Now, people don't have that view because Marvel have done so well of putting their characters out there. Like, don't get me wrong, I guess James Gunn's done it with the second Suicide Squad film. I refuse to acknowledge the first. But that kind of Band of Misfits Suicide Squad film would not have happened without Marvel's success with Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think what they've done there to allow us to get these slightly more obscure characters out there is only a good thing. And I can't imagine that there are not that many people like me who have just had to start reading the comics because they've seen all these obscure characters they've never heard of brought to life in such a brilliant way.
Yeah, I think I'm similar to you. Arrow and Flash were kind of like, obviously I'd seen Iron Man in those first few Marvel films, but it was probably Arrow and Flash, the TV shows, that really finally got me hooked into comic book.
Mm-hmm.
I've not necessarily gone back and read comic books, but I've definitely spent a lot of time online looking up, like, and those series of like Arrow introducing characters I'd never heard of.
It's and like so good,
pulling me in there, and then obviously like, unfortunately for DC, and like their what they tried to build when they did the Man of Steel films and kind of restart their thing, like Marvel just kept running like non-stop, didn't let off the gas, and Marvel's just captured kind of the pop culture.
Yeah,
so people now have like an unfortunate bias that Marvel is way better as like a whole comic book world than DC is, and hopefully we see that change, and hopefully it does kind of
my big concern for Marvel going forward, because do you know what the best way I can put it forward is? Jason Derulo, and I know this sounds like a huge tangent, but stick with me here. Okay. Stick with me. when we were younger, Jason Derulo made proper poppy songs that, yeah, they're about sex, but in a really fun, acceptable way. And then as we were like getting into our teenage years, he got more like explicit with it. What I'm saying is he picked a generation and grew up with that generation. I need Marvel to do the same. I need them to start getting them R-rated characters like Blade and Moon Knight, which are both coming, and I need them to execute properly. Do not nullify them. Do not kiddify them. Do not make them so the Karens will be happy taking the 6-year-old to go see it. Make them 18 rated films where they can actually showcase what that character is about. Just like John Bernthal, who is the only person for me right now who can play the Punisher again, has said he's not going to come back to do a goofy Marvel movie. He's only going to come back to play the character properly. I need them, and I don't get me wrong, they've earned a lot of leeway with me, and I trust they will do it properly. But until we see them do it properly, I'm just it's a concern.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they need to now understand their audience and the fact that I remember seeing Iron Man 1 when it came out in the cinema, and I think I was like 11 or 12.
And I was, that 2008 that came out, so I was 9. You're 4 years older than me, so you're probably 12, 13.
Okay, so I remember that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm now 26. There's other people, like a large portion of this like MCU fandom is the exact same. And I think Marvel knows that 18 rated, like R-rated films do work and do well, because look at Deadpool.
Great.
Also,
that is a big plus in the favour of them actually doing it.
Though the Punisher on Netflix was Marvel TV studios, like it was just like a separate studio that was running them, they still saw like Punisher was wild, like really enjoyed and did really well on Netflix. And exactly. Daredevil also the same, did really well on Netflix. So
also, slight tangent. Sorry, finish what you were saying first.
I was just going to say, I think there's a lot of people are kind of talking about it because you see the shows that are coming now with, like you say, with Blade and Moon Knight, and they've brought in the Netflix kind of MC series into the MCU. Like, they're kind of bringing in those R-rated characters, so the hope is that they are going to start turning it a bit more like more adult and go that way, because they understand that's the audience now. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
So where I was almost cutting you off there but stopped, because I'm going to try hard to do that. Big Punisher news from the comics. They have slightly altered his logo in the new comics that are coming out because of, I'm not sure how aware you might be of this, but it is quite a big problem. In parts of America, police officers have started adopting the Punisher logo. Yeah, so you see the problem. And Marvel have gone,
good thing.
Yeah, Marvel have gone, yeah, no, we can't fucking have that. So they've altered the logo slightly to try and distance themselves from that. When I read about this, I was concerned, because I was like, I really hope it's not a shit logo. It's not disgustingly different. It's different enough so that it's a different logo, and I really fucking like it. It's kind of got like
I'm looking it up now.
A samurai kind of Asian vibe to it. It doesn't look as scully, but you can tell it's got a skull there. I'm a fan of it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. They've added like.
Do you know what I mean? They've moved it away slightly, but I like it. But I mean, just why do people have to adopt pop culture in a way to use it to try and marginalise people and treat them like shit? A police officer should hate everything the Punisher as a character is. Running around with his logo on your car or on your uniform or whatever is a fucking problem.
Yeah, I'm seeing a picture where it's like Marvel's creator is reclaiming the skull from police, and it's like a small thing on like his vet, and it's like people have to ruin good things, and it's
do you know what I mean? But I mean
Marvel that for
distancing themselves,
and like changing it, even though like they like in a way, there's going to be some people that probably are like, oh, you shouldn't be, like, it's been around for ages, why change it? There's probably going to be some backlash there for changing it. But then I think majority of people will be like, good on you, Marvel, for distancing yourself from that and making the effort.
So, would you like to hear a theory I have for how we can have Miles Morales in the MCU?
Okay, go on.
Yeah?
I'm ready for this.
Obviously, there was the tongue-in-cheek reference to him in the newest Spider-Man film. For those of you who might have missed it, Electro says he expected Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man to be black because of what Spider-Man stands for.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then also says there's got to be a black Spider-Man out there.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm not sure how aware people are of this, but the main MCU continuity is Earth 199999. The main comic continuity is Earth 616. These exist in the same multiverse. Each Earth has its own number. It can get complicated, but there's a number of websites out there that make it nice and clear. So,
I think it'll become more popular now moving forward.
Yeah. So, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's films exist in Earths that exist inside the Marvel multiverse as well. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, sorry. Anyway, the point is they are all part of what I am dubbing. I've seen other places as well, so I'm not the only one who's had the same thought, thankfully. The MCM, the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse. So, Tobey Maguire's films took place in the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse, as has Garfield films and any other Marvel Legacy films, like the X-Men films. Okay, so while it's not been confirmed, there is an assumed Earth number for Tom Hardy's Venom films, which is different to Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's. Assuming we don't get the Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Tom Hardy as the villain, which I know a lot of people want, hear me out as another option here. Tom Hardy's gone back to his universe now, along with all the other villains.
Yep.
He knows Spider-Man and the other superhero beings are a thing, so he goes back to New York, looking for his universe's Spider-Man. Okay. Now I know what you're thinking. Why has his Spider-Man not already made themselves apparent yet? Because this universe's Spider-Man is 13-year-old Miles Morales, who's only just been bitten by the spider. That's why. That's why we haven't seen him yet. Because this universe hadn't had a Spider-Man yet. So then, what we get is that film where they fight, Miles wins, Venom wins, it doesn't matter. Venom's more of an anti-hero in Tom Hardy's world, and in the comics now anyway. But it gives us an introduction to Miles. Now, what a lot of people, what a lot of people I'm hoping listening to this, because I want this to be more of an entryway for people, I don't expect them to be hardcore comic nerds. Miles Morales doesn't originate from Earth 616. He actually originates from Earth 1610, I believe. I might have been wrong there, which is the Ultimate Universe. There was a big event a couple of years ago where that universe ultimately died due to an inter-universe war. I believe Galactus was involved again. I might be slightly off on details there. But then what happened was when his universe got destroyed, he escaped, and they used this as a way to port him into Earth 616.
Right, okay.
Which is where he now resides. What if they do a similar thing? Whatever happens in Venom 3, and it could tie into Multiverse of Madness, don't get me wrong, causes a number of universes to get destroyed from whatever happens in this Doctor Strange film, and then at the end of Venom 3, potentially Morbius, or maybe the beginning of Morbius, who knows now that it's been delayed again, and stuff, we get them porting into the MCU Earth. And as a result of that, what you can have is, without needing to do origin stories, because people are getting bored of them, is you can have the X-Men ported in, you can have the Fantastic Four ported in, you can bring Miles in, you can bring Venom, you can bring any character who they've now acquired through different mergers and deals running out into the MCU as a fully fledged character without having to worry about redoing an origin story for them. Nice. And it's also a nod to the comics of how Miles came from different universes and then had to get used to this 13-year-old kid. I want him to not be super young, so that in Tom Holland's college trilogy, we get to see him be a mentor to him. And then I think after Tom Holland's next trilogy, we move on to a Miles Spider-Man trilogy and allow Tom Holland Spider-Man to just appear in big team-up films and when shit hits the fan.
Yep.
But that is how I'd like to see Miles come into the MCU. If they can make it work. But we know what Sony have been like, so that's not... But that was just a cool theory I was thinking of how they could do it.
I like that theory. I think whether or not he's in the Venom world, but I definitely do see them kind of bringing him in the same way, like you said in the comics, where like his world gets destroyed and he's...
Yeah, it just... Because what it means is they can have a super young Miles who's already been Spider-Man for a little while, just come into a new world, and they don't have to waste time with a backstory. But at the same time, I'd love to see a live-action Miles backstory. I mean, they've got to decide what they think. But I think a lot of people don't realise how young the character of Miles is. And I don't mean Miles is 13 years old. I mean, he didn't exist before 2011.
Oh, yeah, he's like...
He is super young. Also, I didn't realise this until the other week. This is new to me, and it's my new favourite piece of information. Do you know how the character of Miles Morales came about?
No.
Would you like to hear a story time?
Go on.
Okay. It's a little bit long-winded and you're going to have to stay with me again.
Okay. I'm here.
The creator of Miles wanted to create a new Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
This was right around the time of the Amazing Spider-Man getting announced, but no one knew who Spider-Man was.
Okay.
At the same time, in an episode of The Community, Donald Glover's character was Troy, seen wearing Spider-Man pajamas at the beginning of an episode. And the internet went nuts, and
I remember seeing that.
Donald Glover for Spider-Man was a trend.
Yeah, I remember.
He ultimately didn't get cast, but that amount of frenzy for a black Spider-Man inspired the writer to create Miles Morales. And then, of course, Donald Glover went on to voice him in an animated cartoon. And, of course, in the MCU, he plays Aaron Donald, who is his uncle. Aaron Donald. I might have got that name wrong. Aaron...
Morales.
No, it's not the same last name. Doesn't matter. Because there's a deleted scene from Homecoming where he's on the phone to Miles. I mean, don't get me wrong, that kind of puts Miles in the MCU already. Doesn't mean that's the Miles who becomes Spider-Man, though. But... I love that that's like the inspiration we're getting.
I nearly went
for a character.
And I was, like you asked me, I nearly jokingly said, oh, Donald Glover.
Yeah.
I remember all the hype around people wanting him to be...
He's been a big part of Miles Morales from start to finish as of now. He's been directly and indirectly, he's always been about. But he's just one of them characters I love. I'm excited with all the new characters coming in that I get to learn more about, because we haven't had, but bar this last year, which has brought in a lot of new characters, it had been a while before we'd had new characters. So I was getting to the point where I knew a lot about these characters from stuff that has been posted online and reading stuff, whereas these films kind of sprung up on me in the middle of a pandemic. I wasn't reading up on that much. So it was nice to kind of go in and just see new characters presented to me again. And I'm very excited to see what we're going to get in this year coming. Thor Love and Thunder looks brilliant, as does Doctor Strange. The only film this year I am worried about is Morbius.
Okay.
Doesn't. I think we've discussed this, haven't we, about how it doesn't seem to know what universe it's in.
Well, yeah, this is something I was just going to touch on, like then after you talked about Miles. So there's a couple of things I've seen online of one. So one thing is a reason why Morbius has been delayed.
Okay, what's the reason?
So one reason some people are theorizing. This is a theory.
Let's remember, in total now, it's been delayed over 2 years.
Yeah, but this most recent delay. One theory that I've seen is people are still trying to work out what world it's in. But
it's a mess.
Kind of like out of all the ideas, the Oscorp building is the one from Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it's the most solid. Like this world.
Yeah, the other ones could just be mistakes.
Yeah. So one theory is that Morbius is in Amazing Spider-Man world. And
Okay.
the theory for it being delayed is because of the success of No Way Home.
They're getting
now
Andrew Garfield in for some
doing
reshoots.
reshoots to do Andrew Garfield in it, which I think, if true, would be amazing.
So here's my concern. For those of you who aren't aware, because like we said, we want this to be an entry level. As I've already explained, the MCU, Andrew Garfield's world, Venom's world, and Tobey Maguire's worlds are all different worlds, as far as we know. Throughout the Morbius trailer, we see things that could make you believe Morbius is taking place in all four of these worlds. So for the MCU, we see Michael Keaton reprising his role as Vulture. We see the Oscorp building that is identical to the one from Amazing Spider-Man. We see Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man on the wall.
Do you want to know something else about that on the wall? That's I'm pretty sure that's a cover of one of the original Spider-Man games. So
yes.
It's his suit, but it's a cover of a game.
And then
on it.
There's a joke in the trailer where someone goes, "Who are you?" And he goes, "I'm Venom." And he goes, "No, sorry, Dr. Michael Morbius, nice to meet you." So that it worries me a little bit, and I know this is going to divide some people. I do not rate Jared Leto as an actor. He has burnt me far too many times in lead roles. As a side character, like he was in American Psycho, he's passable. But I've got to be honest, the Joker was the final nail in the coffin for me. I know a lot of people have said he's been burnt by the editing of that film and the script of that film. I just didn't like him in the role.
Yeah.
I wanted to like him in the role, but I just didn't. This is his last chance with me. And if not, he's in real danger of me just not seeing another one of his films.
Yeah.
But
the Joker thing, I didn't mind him, but I do see that, there was things that were cut and stuff that kind of played into the Joker thing.
Yeah, I fully believe if we got the eye cut, he would come across better.
Yeah.
But there were just decisions he made for the character that I inherently disagree with. But that's neither here nor there. That we'll call that artistic difference.
Something with the trailer, though, there's all these different references, but we've learnt from Marvel trailers.
Oh yeah, they lie to you constantly.
They lie. They even film specific things just for the trailers to throw people off. And I wonder now that Sony is more on board with, because I guarantee now, there was all this whole back and forth between Disney and Sony of not wanting to work, Sony not wanting to work with them, not being difficult about the whole Spider-Man thing. I'd be surprised if after No Way Home, they don't suddenly, there's that click moment of okay, this just makes sense and it makes us a ton of money. So why don't we just keep this partnership going? And I think there's going to be more kind of work between them, with doing stuff with the trailers to try and throw people off.
So I'm just opening our spreadsheet right now to see what we've got coming this year. What we're going to do is we're going to go through this, and I'm just going to ask you to give me your hype level for it. Yeah?
Okay.
So we've got the Peacemaker series, which is only on HBO Max, that I've not been able to watch any of yet. Did you have any thoughts about this series?
So I am yet to also see Suicide Squad 2, so I don't really know much at all about Peacemaker.
Okay, that makes sense. What I will say is, for me, the James Gunn Suicide Squad film is a top 5 comic book movie.
Okay. It is on my to-watch list.
And John Cena as Peacemaker in that role was one of the highlights of the film.
Yeah, the only thing I knew when I read that and it said Peacemaker and I googled it and I was like, oh, it's John Cena's character from Suicide Squad, which I've not seen yet. And I was like, okay.
I've only heard good things about the TV show. I've seen people raving to give James Gunn a Marvel Disney Plus show, and people have decided that maybe John Cena is a good actor in the right role. So,
okay.
I would like to watch it if I get the opportunity. Then we have Morbius.
I would say moderately hyped, massively intrigued, more so.
Yes, I think
I just want to know what universe it's in, where it lies. I'm just confused at the moment.
I am underwhelmed by it in the sense of I don't think it's going to be good. But that leaves me plenty of room to be pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, intrigues more why I'm going to see it. The Batman.
Very hyped.
I think that's probably my second most hyped film for the rest of this year. But
first would be
Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah.
But as press ramps up for that could well slip in first. Up next, we've got Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Also extremely hyped.
I'm so excited. I loved the first Doctor Strange film, and I'm very, very excited to get more of Wanda in the now official role of Scarlet Witch.
And just to really open the door on this whole multiverse stuff.
Mm-hmm. Then we've got a bit of a different tone here. DC Life of Super Pets.
I can't say I'm overly...
Have you watched the trailer for it?
No, I haven't. I'll have to go watch that trailer.
So my only complaint from the trailer...
Hang on. Isn't there, like, I know of a super dog.
So you've got Crypto the super dog, Ace the bat hound.
Oh yeah, there's a bat hound. I forgot about that.
But then I think they've given the other Justice League members pets that make sense. Okay. I don't know if they existed in the comics before now.
Please.
But they are. So anyway, my only complaint.
Can I hope they've given Flash a tortoise just for the band?
Yeah, no, Flash is a tortoise. So basically, obviously, Crypto always had the same powers as Superman, and I mean, Ace the Bat Hound has the same powers as Batman, which is none. By the looks of it, the other pets get the powers of their hero at some point.
Okay, I presume this is animated.
Yeah, animated.
Okay, thank God.
So I have one complaint, and it is casting.
Oh God. Okay.
Kevin Hart.
Oh.
Has been cast as Ace the Bat Hound.
Oh.
Yeah. While I'm sick of Dwayne The Rock Johnson being in everything, him as Crypto does make sense.
Yeah.
So I can accept that. But Kevin Hart being forced in there as well is my only concern.
My worry is that I only know him from like pretty comedic roles.
Yeah.
So obviously it's voice acting, so like there's a lot you can kind of do it, but we'll see.
So I mean, it's not going to be a masterpiece, but I think it could be a fun watch.
Yeah, one of those like hype.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Excited. I saw a theory on this.
So I think this could be one of the best MCU films to date, but because of the clear importance of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, stuff has not been leaking from this set, which means the hype hasn't built as much. But I think this film is going to be a fucking masterpiece.
So I've seen a theory about this film because we're getting this multiverse stuff. There's a comic which I don't know much about other than that there's a comic where multiple different variations of Thor all fight together. Okay. And there's like a proper like chunky Thor. There's like the Thor from Endgame. And there's a couple of different pictures of Chris Hemsworth. And there's one where like he's super jacked, like bigger than he has been. And then there's a couple of photos where he looks different. And one theory someone's had is it might play into there could be different versions of Thor in this film.
Okay. I'll be down for that. I'm excited to see Lady Thor, which has been confirmed. Natalie Portman's looking jacked.
That was it. That was also because she's in it.
So what I expect is, because right now we're in a kind of passing of the torch phase, the OG6 are having their replacements come to light.
Yep.
As in, Falcon's taken over as Captain America, Yelena's Black Widow, Kate Bishop as Hawkeye. List goes on.
Yeah.
Thor has a daughter in the comics who is the Thor of Young Avengers.
Okay.
I forget her name. I will not be surprised if Jane is pregnant at some point during this film.
Ooh.
That is, but I have no real inclination as to the story. I'm just very excited.
I also have a theory that Loki, the TV series season 2,
Yeah.
I have a theory that the TVA is going to play into Doctor Strange. I think we're going to see some connection with, or like some reference or appearance of something TVA related. I wonder if then in Thor: Love and Thunder, if there is potential multiverse shit going on in that film, maybe that's when Loki meets Thor, and then there's the explanation of I'm not your Loki, but
maybe.
Because I do think there's going to be a point where Thor and Loki cross paths, and there's going to have to be that explanation to Thor of I'm not Loki, so die. I think that would be good.
Next up, we have Black Adam.
Is this
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in the film that's been in development for 7 million
Yeah, wait,
years.
Yeah. I quite liked. The first one's called. Why am I forgetting what the first film's called?
There is no first film. This is the first film.
I thought there was another one that was before.
Do you mean Shazam?
Shazam, that's it.
Okay, so they are Black Adam. It was initially Shazam's villain, but he's kind of, think of Black Adam, and this is like a proper bastardization. Don't get angry at me, any comic book nerds. He is kind of Shazam's Venom in the sense of originally he was a villain. These days he's more of an anti-hero.
Okay.
So they will battle out, but he's not like proper crazy. I don't actually know. I think they will be, but I don't know. I think Black Adam's going to be an introduction to Black Adam, and then in the Shazam sequel, Fury of the Gods, which is 2023, we'll get Black Adam in that.
Okay.
And then we have the potential holy grail of the year, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1.
Yeah, which just instantly sets it up there's going to be a Part 2.
I'm so ready.
I'm very excited for that.
I can't actually put into words my excitement for that.
Is there in any way do you see them linking into the Spider-Verse in actually in with the live action stuff?
So I can give you a yes and no answer, which isn't going to appease you at all. There are rumours that Tom Holland's doing a cameo in it.
Oh, okay.
But you've got to remember, all Marvel property, regardless of who it's produced by, exists within the MCM. So you never say never.
Wait,
is the simplest way.
If there's just a point where it's all animated into the multiverse, it's all animated film, whatever, and then there's just literally live action Tom Holland appears and goes, "Wait, I'm in the wrong place," and just leaves.
Hori, do you want me to make you really happy?
Go on.
This podcast, once it goes live, will exist within the MCM. Because this Earth exists inside the Marvel multiverse.
Yeah, there's a universe somewhere in the MC.
No. It's a numbered one. I forget the number though. This Earth is numbered. And the reason we have no superheroes is because our physics in this universe are too strict. So we are, once this is uploaded, we are part of the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse.
So what you're saying is all comics are fiction, a fact.
Yes.
And
yes,
we're just waiting for someone to open a portal.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way Marvel essentially sells it, which I like.
So
then we've got
still a chance I could be bitten by a spider.
Yes, there's a chance. The Flash.
Is this the one?
This is Ezra Miller's one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Intrigued to see if they do actually reset and.
So this is another film that's been delayed a number of times. I am nervous because I love the character of the Flash. I love the story that this film is based on. I want it to be good. I trust the actors to give good performances. I'm concerned about the quality of the script.
Yeah.
That is my only concern.
Because of DC's track record, unfortunately.
Yeah. And although, we've had discussions before, I've gone, when it comes to artistic stuff, I'd rather it be delayed than be rushed.
Mm-hmm.
But But when a film gets delayed multiple times, I always start to get a bit nervous. But we've also got to remember there's been a pandemic, so then delays could just be pandemic related.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of films where they've had to reshoot lots of stuff.
Yeah. Next up is a film that I'm almost certain is going to get delayed.
Okay.
Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not
been
in production
delayed
at the moment.
Yeah, the production's halted again.
You've heard all the stuff about going on.
I don't want to make this
no, neither.
A political podcast.
All I will say is,
but it's the situation really sucks.
Yeah, and I think actors in the MCU need to realise that Marvel will recast. We've seen it before.
They will, and if the particular actress keeps going the way she's going, she will get recast. They'll just find a way around it. She sealed her own fate if she's not careful.
Yeah. So
now the next film, and again, Jorge, I'm not sure if you'll be aware of this.
Okay.
Is a film that I will not be seeing in the cinema.
Oh, okay.
It is the second Aquaman film.
Okay, so this is why
again,
I'm probably on because I know this film's pretty divided, I think, on how people like it. I liked the first Aquaman.
See, I have no issue with the first Aquaman film. I have one issue.
I know why you won't watch it.
Yeah, it is because of Amber Heard.
Of the same mindset.
Yeah, and while she is still connected to this project, I will not be viewing it. I will not be allowing it to create money in any way. And while this might end up being a good film, I am telling you right now, it is going to tank at the box office because of her connection to it.
Oh yeah, probably, most likely.
The movement to not see it is big in this country. It seems bigger in America.
I would probably only see it through other capacities.
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it in a way that produces money for it.
Agreed.
Then
I enjoyed the first Aquaman, so
I really like Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
Yes, I love him.
Another thing that I hadn't considered till just now: the Flash is reset in the DCEU.
Potentially, yeah.
How is the second Aquaman film taking place after it, or being released after it, if it's reset and everything?
That
might be a huge plot hole.
No, DC could do what they want.
To be fair,
honestly, it would not surprise me if Flash did reset everything and then still Aquaman 2 came out and people were like, this just doesn't make sense anymore. And they're like, yeah. But it's there.
And that's all the films that are scheduled for 2022. Don't get me wrong, some of them might get pushed to 23, depending on delays and stuff. TV, none of this has been confirmed.
We've just got a load to be announced, right?
Yeah, so 3 of them are coming in 2022, but we don't know when. One of them we're hoping for 2022, but if I'm being honest, I think it'll be next year. So we've got Moon Knight and She-Hulk are definitely coming in 2022, but we have no clue when. There are rumours Moon Knight might be coming out starting next month.
Hopefully.
Then we've got Ms. Marvel, which has been delayed slightly. It was supposed to already be starting around about now. But there was... So, okay, let me fill in with that one. So it's expected in summer 22 now because they're doing reshoots. So Miss Marvel's power is enlargement and essentially she's like a shapeshifter, but she can also change her size and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't she? Go on.
For this show, they've kind of changed her powers based on what we've seen from posters and stuff to be similar to Green Lantern's projection powers.
Okay.
Which people were furious about because a big part of Kamala Khan's story and why she's Ms. Marvel is when she got her powers, she made herself look like Captain Marvel, which with astral projections makes no sense.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, myself included, are hoping the reason for these reshoots is because they're changing her powers back to be more comic accurate.
Hopefully.
And then Secret Invasion I've got expected down here, but I'm going to go with hopefully will be released in 2022. But I won't be surprised if it falls to early 2023.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. So
then we have I Am Groot, which I don't know a lot about, and I don't know when it's coming. Oh, we do have one more thing that's definitely 2022. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special around Christmas, which apparently is going to be vital you watch before Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Wait, really?
That is what James Gunn has said.
I love that. I thought it was just going to be kind of like a bit of a meme.
Star Wars Christmas special vibes.
Yeah. I thought it was just going to be like some meme thing, and I was...
Yeah. I think it's going to
be...
I think it is going to have vibes of the Star Wars Holiday Christmas special from the 80s. I genuinely think it's a bit of an homage to that. And then it's going to lead into Guardians 3.
Okay.
So
I would say
we eating good this year.
Moon Knight, I'm pretty hyped to
I'm
see.
so excited.
Hopefully they do it by right, and hopefully we get it early this year. Like it
also, yeah. Also, Oscar Isaac is, I think, going to end up being seen as good a casting as a Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. And you guys can hold me to that. I genuinely think that's how he's going to be viewed in this role.
I'll definitely clip that. She-Hulk, I'm looking forward to, because my prediction is that that's actually set.
During the blip.
Yes, when Banner said he was in the Gamma Lab for several months, and one theory is to why. But then there's also a theory I've seen is the thing after Shang-Chi, when he's in the projection, and he's back in human form.
Yeah.
One theory, I know your theory is he has to do that so the Hulk can heal.
Yeah.
Another theory is he had to do that to give a blood transfusion to She-Hulk.
Oh, that's a cool
because
one.
Obviously, he can't do it when he's in Hulk form.
Yeah.
So he had to turn back. So then he could give her a blood transfusion so she could learn to control.
So one thing I'll say before we move on to our last little segment is I believe we might see a little bit of Happy Hogan's court case that is still pending in She-Hulk.
Oh,
and
yeah, she's a lawyer, isn't she?
Yeah, she is a lawyer, and I think
so.
Matt telling him he needs a really good lawyer is a little bit of a nod to her defending Happy.
Yeah, because one hope, obviously, like you see that, and it's like, Daredevil's in, he's going to be lawyer for some of these superheroes, but then the fact that he's like, you need a good lawyer, obviously is him saying it's not me.
Yeah.
So,
okay, last segment that I'm hoping we can do every week.
Okay.
And that I want the people listening to have a little think of and put their suggestions in comments and on Twitter and just spam it at us. Superhero Showdown, that's what we're going to call it.
Okay.
Give us versions of characters, be it comic book versions, film versions, whatever versions you want to fight. So, I know, Horry, you put one on Twitter, which was Green Arrow versus Hawkeye.
Yes.
Before we get into this, I want to know what versions we're talking about. Are we going MCU and CW, or are you going strictly comics? What do you want?
In my head, when I wrote that tweet, I was thinking of MCU versus CW, because that's what I know best.
Okay.
And I would probably say like TV show Hawkeye, where we kind of saw more of what Hawkeye is, in my opinion.
Yeah. So MCU Hawkeye versus CW Arrow.
Yes.
Green Arrow. Okay, so I think this is probably the fairest fight between these two versions of characters.
Okay.
Because in the comics, Hawkeye is, and I know he was the first, he might be the only person to have been a part of both the Justice League of America and the Avengers. Which I think says a lot about the quality of Hawkeye.
Yeah.
After the Hawkeye TV show, I am more inclined to lean towards Hawkeye because we've seen him as a one-man army as the Ronin. We've seen him using pin particle arrows and a lot of his trick arrows. We've seen how, like, I know it's a bit of a meme on the internet, but the only time the Avengers lost was in Infinity War when they didn't have Hawkeye on their side. And, like, in the first Avengers film, when Loki had Hawkeye under his spirit. He was such a thorn in the side of the Avengers. While Stephen Amell's Arrow is phenomenal and super difficult and very powerful, I personally want to give it to Hawkeye. I think he would beat him, but I do not think it would be an easy fight. I think they're both leaving that pretty beat the fuck up.
I too, when I was thinking about it, it's like I would lean to MCU. The way I saw it is like we saw Hawkeye as Ronin, which reminded me of like Oliver Queen on the island. Like,
yeah.
Like, I think if they were to go hand to hand, it'd be very close. I think the thing that Hawkeye kind of has is just kind of it is the trick arrows. I think he has more skill in ways that he can use trick arrows that would end.
And you've also got to remember at this point, and I don't get me wrong, I know I missed the last few seasons of Arrow, so maybe there's something that happened in them that throws me off here. I feel like Hawkeye is more adept in fighting people much more powerful than him.
Oh yeah, pure experience now of like what Hawkeye's been through.
Yeah, he's been on alien planets watching best friends die. He's been fucking fighting invincible robots. He's been through the ringer, and I think that experience gives him the edge over any non-powered person.
I would agree, yeah. I think Hawkeye does just, with the experience and then the slightly, like, just the extra tech help that he has, I think he does win. If it was pure hand-to-hand, I'd be tempted to say our Arrow would win in pure hand-to-hand.
I do get why you're saying that, but you've also got to remember Hawkeye would have spent a lot of years training in hand-to-hand against Black Widow.
Oh no, yeah, true.
And like that's as good a sparring partner as you can find. But don't forget to tell us in the comments how wrong we are and how it's definitely Arrow who's stronger. And more importantly, don't forget to give us your superhero showdown you want to hear us discuss.
And it can be just DC versus DC. It can be MC versus... You could do comic versus film character or whatever. I just chose.
But I'm going to say right now, if anyone tries to say Batman with prep time, I am not going to take your answer. I'm sick of seeing the words when it comes to fantasy fights of Batman with prep time. Okay? He's not a god. He's a man. I'm sick of it.
Batman with prep time. I've never actually heard that.
Really? Oh, we are definitely on different parts of the internet. I think that's all from us.
Yeah. I think
do not forget
we have
to
covered a lot in this first episode.
Do not forget to like if you're listening to this on YouTube. Don't forget to follow the TikTok because there'll be little clips and stuff put on there. Apple Music and Spotify, this is going to be on there as well. Don't forget to like it or rate it or whatever you do on them. And follow us on Twitter. I believe we're cutscene combos everywhere. I don't think we don't have that anywhere. So that's all from us. Enjoy your weekend.
Have a good one.